One. All right, welcome back to Politically Homeless. I'm Dave, and I've really got my best secret weapon here for viewers and for information. If you want to know about what's going on with the World Health Organization, James Roguski is the man. James, how are you?
Oh, I'm diving right in, Dave. We got a lot of information here. It's, crunch time with the WHO. A lot of misinformation that's been going around all over the internet. So as we are recording this, it is May the 7th, and the WHO is in the middle of negotiations for what most people call the pandemic treaty. And the rumor is that over the weekend, there was a private little meeting between the United States, the European Union, I should say the representatives from the United States, the European Union, four African nations, South Africa, Kenya, Botswana, and Ethiopia, and representatives from Big Pharma. Oh,
Oh,
oh, if I could only have been a fly on the wall to know what was going on in that room. Hopefully some information will come out. So, anything could be coming down the pipe right now about that. They're supposedly going to be negotiating until the end of this week, May the 10th. There's rumblings about all kinds of things. Are they going to reach an agreement to submit to the assembly at the end of the month? Are they going to, sign on to an empty framework and then have negotiations continue for a couple of years? Or, is this whole thing just going to fall apart and crumble? That would be spectacular. So that's this one track. Stay tuned. Maybe they will have some new information, a new draft. What they're trying to do with the treaty has been misrepresented by almost everybody in the alternative media. I've been saying to people since November of 2022, it's a fancy, corrupt trade deal. We did a wonderful video about, what all the details were in there. Just think mafia, think organized crime, think, money laundering and building a business model so that they can go looking for pathogens that they can bring into their WHO coordinated laboratory network, put anything they identify into the pathogen access and benefit sharing system so that if nations get access to the data, they have to share some of the profits because there's multiple billions of dollars to be made with products that would then go into the WHO distribution and logistics network. Hey, man, it's just business, right? Let's just scare people and get governments to throw money at that market sector. The other track, the amendments, have been a little quiet lately. A lot of people have, finally maybe realized that it's not an attack on national sovereignty. It's not an attack by the WHO to try to tell your doctor and everything, to do with your life. Those local issues are still local issues. The vaccine mandates, the passports, the mask mandates, and everything like that. That is all things that you have to dig into your local rules, your school board, your city council, your county commissioner, health commissioner, your state assembly. Laws that have been put in place over the years on a local, state, and national level are as corrupt can be. They don't need the WHO to abuse your rights and freedoms. They're, evil enough on a local level to do those things to you over the last 4.5 years. They don't need amendments or a treaty to continue to do that. And so what's in the amendments that is of great concern is, they want to make international travel go away. They want people to have a hard time traveling internationally. They want you to feel that, you're not going to be able to travel unless you get whatever jabs they recommend. And
Wow.
so please take a look. We've talked about this before. Article 31 in the existing regulations and the proposed amendments to Article 24 and 27 to make it even stronger. They want to be able to isolate and quarantine people as appropriate. Well, I don't want somebody determining, what they think they can do to my body because they say it's appropriate. Last thing I want to talk about is this handy dandy little one-page letter from the 49 Republican senators to President Biden. And while it's wonderful that they're a little bit paying attention, here's what they said. Um, they want the United States to insist on comprehensive WHO reforms before considering amendments or a treaty. And then down at the bottom, they want the Biden administration to shift the administration's focus to comprehensive WHO reforms. Well, the reform that's needed for the WHO is a wrecking ball, right?
Yeah.
We don't need to reform the WHO. Thank you, 49 senators, for raising awareness. This has been spread all over the internet, and people are aware that at least the Republican senators are pushing back a little bit. But all you need to do is call up Andy Biggs, who's the representative from District 5 in Arizona, and say, hey, Representative Biggs, would you mind if we copied your page-and-a-half WHO Withdrawal Act, H.R. 79, and submitted it in the Senate as a companion legislation? Not one out of 100 senators can tell their staff to copy, paste, and submit. Okay. Andy Biggs's legislation, you can find it on exitthewho.com, exitthewho.com, pretty self-explanatory. The WHO Withdrawal Act got over, I think it's got 58 co-sponsors now in the House.
Good.
So I encourage people, the list is right there on exitthewho.com. Call any one of the 58 co-sponsors and say, hey, thank you. Make their day a little bit. Talk to a staff member and go, it's wonderful. You guys are on the right side of this. How do we get one senator out of 100 to just copy, paste, and submit so that it becomes a Senate bill that senators could either co-sponsor or not co-sponsor? Because what's coming up, the WHO is going to have their World Health Assembly at the end of May. Something's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Whether they adopt amendments or they adopt a treaty or they push it off and continue these negotiations for 2 years, whether these things are adopted or not, they still remain as, the marketing arm for big pharma. They're still pushing jabs. They're still pushing these diagnostic tests that are fraudulent. The more things change, the more they're going to stay the same. We need to exit the WHO, not reform them and, maybe get safer mRNA jabs. I don't think that's a thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So anybody can reach out to me at any time. My number is 310-619-3055. If you think we should be exiting the WHO instead of trying to reform the WHO and hope, that Biden doesn't just sign these documents and asks the Senate for their consent, that ain't going to happen. It's
Yeah.
not going to happen. And so what we need to do is focus on the fact that the WHO and our relationship with them went bad a couple of decades ago. It's time for a divorce. We need to leave. They need to be abolished. And anyone who's running for any kind of political office has to make a stand. They have to make a choice. They're either on the side of globalism and allowing all of this money to be spent in the wrong way, or we leave the WHO and focus on the local problems that we have and fix the corrupt laws on a local, state, and national level. And so you can go to exitthewho.com if you're in the United States. If you're outside the United States, you can go to exitthewho.org. It's real simple. Bye-bye, WHO. We need to leave. And, treaty amendments, the details are important. They're trying to, take over, money and restrict travel. But get very clear on what's really going on. We're dealing with an organization that is essentially pushing big pharma on the world. And that is not a path to health. That is a path for them to increase their wealth.
Well said. Well said. Well, as always, James Roguski, I think you summed everything up there. I've got nothing to add to that. We appreciate all the work that you do. James, how can people support you? Is there a way to help?
Support Support me.
monetize your situation a little bit?
Support me by supporting yourself. Everything I've ever done in my life has never been put behind a paywall. You can have everything if you go to jamesroguski.com or jamesroguski.substack.com. Best thing anybody could do is learn, get the facts, be on point, and speak up. Speak up. Your silence is viewed as consent. So if you want to help me, help yourself and help make the world a better place.
All right. Well, amen to that, sir. Thanks again, James.
Thank you.